Hi everyone, I'm Jana and this is my art channel, Jana Magpie. Today I'm going to be reviewing Jazza's Ultimate Digital Painting Bundle. If you're not familiar with Jazza, he's a YouTuber that has almost 7 million subscribers, and he's well known for doing art challenges in all kinds of different mediums. He also has a background in animation and comic art. I'm no stranger to comic art myself. Back in the early 2000s when I was a teenager, I had my own webcomic. And as you can see, it had the requisite cross-dressing arc and some extra special full-color pages. The internet really is forever. Anyway, these days I have an iPad and I mostly do my digital art on Procreate, like a lot of people. But I find that the Procreate brushes are a little bit uninspiring. This is where Jazza comes in, with the world's best digital brushes. That's what I'm going to see today. I went in and I downloaded his digital brushes. I actually bought the bundle, which was about $35 US, and I decided to try them out. So for my sketch, I used his construction pencil in blue, which is how I actually like to draw myself. I did find this to be a really easy to use base layer. I then did the inking in the impact brush. Since then, I've decided that I like the quill brush better for inking. It's just a little bit sharper, but either way, they both give me that kind of scratchy analog feel. The next thing I did was just block in my colors. I did end up changing the ground because it was a little bit too dark, and then I just added some cell shading. I then went in to give some detail to my little cactus friends. For this first one, I did the shades and highlights using the oil dry blend brush. For all of my little cactus guys, I did their spines using the ink liner brush because it felt the sharpest. My middle cactus, I actually used the zipper brush. Oh, before that, I couldn't resist putting in some birds with the birdies brush. But then I went to the zipper brush and I used that to provide a kind of succulent texture to that middle cactus. Finally, for my last cactus, it looks like I didn't film selecting the brush, but I used one of the charcoal brushes for this guy. And then I used one of the scratchy ink brushes for the highlights on the little prickly pears. After that, I went in to start on the background. One of the brushes I was weirdly excited for was the cloud brush, because in this part of the country, I think the clouds can be really amazing, and I wanted to, see how I could do that. It actually was much harder than I thought to do a really good cloudscape with the cloud brush, but eventually I figured it out, and it ended up being one of my favorite parts of this piece. After that, I went in with the ruined city to try to color the cliffs. I didn't like it, so I ended up using the sharp charcoal brush to fill in the cliffs in this kind of purple, orange, and yellow color palette, which felt really southwestern to me. After that, I went into the mid-ground using the bushes brush for all the vegetation, and that could not have been more perfect. I loved this pattern that it made. It's really good for bushes that aren't super close and aren't super far away, so you still have a little bit of the detail in the leaves. And I did that in 3 different shades of green, which I loved. Next, it was time to give some detail to the foreground. I tried the rocks brush, but I didn't like it for this, so I ended up using the spatter splat brush, which a few layers of that was perfect for the gravel. I did my shadows, my cast shadows from the cactuses, with a watercolor brush on high transparency. I added a little bit more texture in the foreground and also the shadows from the buildings. And then I wanted to give some texture to the buildings and the wall, for which I chose the spatter mist brush. I didn't realize until I was editing this video how much I actually love this brush, because when I was trying to recreate it, I did this, which I love, but that's not what I did in the original painting. But I kind of wish that I would have just done a spatter over the whole thing, because I love that effect so much. I colored in the wood parts and windows. I used the dry oil brush to give the wood a little bit of texture, and then I added my name with a brush marker. And this is honestly one of my favorite digital paintings that I've done in years. I'm not even exaggerating. The brushes were just so fun and so easy to use that it kind of reawakened in me a love for digital art. So now I guess it's time for my review of Jazza's Ultimate Digital Painting Bundle. Are these the world's best digital brushes? Well, Jazza, I'm not really qualified to make that determination, but I did really like them. I think that $35 for the brushes and the ebook is a good value. If you would like to pick some of those up, I will leave a link in the description. My channel's pretty small, so you probably don't need me to say this, but this is not a sponsored video. I'm just a customer and a fan. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.